Hello, everyone. This is Niecy.
And that's Chad. I don't know what's happening, but that is Chad.
I thought I'd start off with a royal salute. So we are going to spend a little time today with you recapping season 11 of a show called Married at First Sight.
So Married at First Sight is a reality show on Lifetime, and in the show, experts pair together complete strangers based on whatever criteria they use, and they place these people together, and these couples agree to marry a complete stranger and to live with them for several weeks until decision day.
Yes. Dun, dun, dun.
At which time they decide whether or not they actually want to move on and get a divorce, right?
Or stay together and
Start a life
keep
together.
the experiment going.
Yeah.
We don't know the exact criteria that the experts use. I think it involves like dice and cards, but but we think that we can give an opinion about this because we've been married for 22 years, and we actually still like each other, and that's an accomplishment these days.
Well, let's just pause and give him credit for getting the number of years right, because we've had some questionable responses recently. But yeah, 22 years it is. And look, we think that the experts did a great job this season, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We do. I wish I knew more about how they went about making their choices, but they did make some good. We can definitely understand why, and if you watch the show, you probably can too, understand why they put the couples together that they did. But somehow, life seems to find a way to get in there and develop some chaos, and that happened in a few situations.
Well, I think every couple had a really good chance of making it. I think every couple was really matched well.
Yep.
But you know, the thing about marriage is it doesn't take much for us to get in our own way. I think that's got a lot to do with why so many divorces happen these days, because it is important in a marriage that you take an honest look at yourself, and that you take a step back sometime, and that you remember to put your spouse first and all of those things. And in a lot of cases, I think that's when things went left for some of our couples.
So if you agree with our opinions, please put your comments in there. Let us know what you think, and we can talk about those too at a later time.
Absolutely. So we are first going to let you know who season 11, who the couples were for season 11. We're going to count them back from worst to first.
Right.
Yeah.
So starting with worst to first, we had Christina and Henry.
Christina and Henry.
Yes.
So what was the deal with Christina and Henry?
So Christina is a flight attendant, so they're kind of, happy-go-lucky. They get on the plane, they say, all aboard, and coffee, tea, and milk. And Henry was, I don't know, maybe a little kind of introverted. He was
absolutely.
Yeah, he was.
Henry was very, very sort of self-conscious and reserved. Total opposite of her very outgoing personality. But opposites can attract.
Yep.
So I don't know that in and of itself said much. The real issue, of course, was that neither one of them would push themselves out of that comfort zone.
Yeah, I think Christina liked Teddy Pendergrass guys, who would say, "Come here, woman," and but that was not Henry. Henry was not going to do that.
Henry's never going to do that.
No, and so they never really clicked. They never connected.
And Christina, to be fair, I don't know. There was some shady stuff going on. I'm not quite sure we ever really found out what was going on with Christina in her personal life prior, and I think a lot of that kind of factored into why things ultimately didn't work out. So.
Yeah, she was not necessarily totally honest, I think, and he found out about it, and that created its own chaotic thing, and
as it always will.
And it was a mess. Turned out to be a mess.
So they were definitely Of the couples, they matched the least successfully, I think. Not because of what the experts chose or how the experts put them together, but because of their own efforts to connect, I guess.
Right. So the next couple, Olivia and Brett.
Yeah.
So Olivia was a nurse, so she's a helping, nurturing kind of person. She works in a career field where her bosses, the doctors, actually practice medicine. So it's not a black and white kind of thing. Sometimes the same treatment that worked for you won't work for this one. Whereas Brett was a systems analyst. All he sees are ones and zeros. You're either a one or you're zero. There's no in between. And we all know that life doesn't work like that all the time. And I think that was their biggest problem.
Yeah, I can see that. I think both of them were fairly insecure. And, Brett did a good job of convincing people that he's a jerk, even though I don't think he is. I think it's his defense mechanism. And I think had not Christina, we're talking about Olivia. Had Olivia spent a little more time getting to know him, she would have seen that and could have helped break those walls down. I think she also put walls up, and I think that Brett is so easily offended and so quick to retreat back into his shell, that the same was true for him. I think both of them could have made a little more effort to see where the other person was coming from and to try to meet in the middle. And their inability to do that really kind of destroyed the opportunity to have what could have been a very good match.
Because you always hear people say, getting to know each other. But getting to know you is not me saying, this is my vision of what the perfect woman is like. Now you meet that.
Right.
That is not getting to know anyone. But
that being said, I understand exactly where you're coming from, but I don't think Brett did that to her. I think Brett was genuinely attracted to her, and she was too insecure to accept that. And because they did have such different ways of thinking of certain things, they allowed those things to color the genuine attraction.
Right.
So, or to disguise, I guess, the attraction that they really did have.
Confuse it,
yeah.
Then there was Karen and Miles.
Karen and Miles. Yeah. Oh, my, Miss Karen.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Miss Karen. Miss Karen frustrated Miss Cora.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, in case you're wondering, Miss Cora is also Niecy.
Oh, Niecy. Yeah. Hey, guys. That's me.
That's her.
But, so, to start things off, Karen found out the identity of her husband prior to the wedding, which is, from what I understand, a married at first sight first. But instead of, just taking that opportunity to sort of get some intel, well, she used it for intel, but she didn't use it in a positive manner. She let it make her more nervous and decided that he wasn't her type, which... to me, that's kind of silly because... Why
are you on this show?
You're on the show because you don't have a good type, child.
Right. If you've been choosing your type all this time before, look where it led you.
Exactly. And that's one of my biggest frustrations with the show is that, if you're going to put your life in the experts' hands, trust the experts because clearly what you were doing does not work.
Wasn't working.
So that was one of their challenges. Miles was a trooper. I'm not saying Miles is perfect, but he made an effort to kind of meet her halfway and to let her grow in her willingness and ability to participate. But eventually, of course, that had to come to a head. But the good part is that they did seem to find some common ground. I'm still a little on the fence about it, but we'll see.
Well, the other thing too was, see, Miles was a strapping young buck, and Karen was
Not a strapping young buck.
Yep. And Karen was an attractive young lady, and Miles was like, yeah, and Karen was like, no.
I don't know what's happening, y'all. Pray for him.
So that created some problems.
Absolutely.
It did.
Absolutely.
And so anyway.
So Karen and Miles, number 3. At number 2, I guess.
Yep.
Is going to be
Amelia and Bennett.
Now, Amelia and Bennett are number 2 just because we think that there was a stronger match. But let me tell you, they were the cutest.
Yeah, they were.
They are just adorable.
They were. You got to understand. You got to learn a little about them in case you didn't see the season. Amelia was a person who would play. She could play a drum set, a guitar, and a harmonica at the same time. And she wrote these corny little songs.
And she walks a tightrope.
She walks a tightrope in the park.
For reasons no one understands.
Tied to 2 trees.
Right. And they managed to find her someone equally quirky. So Bennett built his own tiny house.
Yep.
You know, he drives a pedicab. He writes plays. I don't know.
He sleeps in a big T-shirt that looks like a dress.
He does.
When they went on their honeymoon, because the show pays for the honeymoon, when they went on the honeymoon, the 2 of them, instead of, going to this beautiful room and having wine and cheese and stuff, they made a fort off the covers off the bed like they were 10 years old.
Like 10-year-olds.
And went in that, and they sit there
and had a great time.
Yeah. Hey, if it works.
It works. So they are, they're extremely quirky, but they seem to appreciate the quirkiness and this free spirit of one another. And that so far seems to be working for them. I'm not going to say I don't have a couple of little concerns, but the most important part is that they seem to be willing to give each other the space to be who they are and to accept one another for who they are.
Right.
And so it seems to be working for them. So they are couple number 2.
Yep.
And couple number 1.
At the top of the list is Amani and Woody.
Yay!
So them 2 clicked right off the bat.
They did.
They allowed love to be at the forefront of their relationship. And I understand that, because you know what? This lady right here can say and do things to me that if someone else did it, I'd be ready to kick their butts. But what she does, it is so sweet and cute. And I love it. But you got to have, if you don't have that in your relationship, you're in trouble.
I agree. And I will say that he puts up with a lot from Miss Cora, Niecy, whoever.
Oh, I'm sure.
All the personalities.
I'm not perfect. Well, okay, 99%, but no, just kidding. I'm not perfect.
Yeah, so Woody and Amani, though, they connected from day one. Yep. And again, every couple is going to have their little struggles and things they have to work out. And of course they did. But as long as you focus on meeting your spouse halfway or sometimes taking a step back and saying, you know what, I can put you first this time because I love you and I'm committed to this relationship. That is what is ultimately going to help your relationship stand the test of time. And Woody and Amani demonstrated very early on that they were willing to do that.
Yep.
And they seem to be the absolute best match of season 11.
They really were. I think taking showers together had a lot to do with it too. But
can't complain about that.
Yeah, but they just seemed to want it, and they were willing to. They were like, hey, let's, they just wanted it. They were like the
MVP.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
They were.
Yeah.
And that just, love will find a way if you let it.
Absolutely.
And and they were committed to it, and it was great.
Yeah. So we are going to dive a little bit deeper into each couple on some follow-up videos. We're going to talk about some specifics about what happened over the season, because we are quickly coming up on the
Season
New
12?
couples. Yes, season 12. Season 12. In fact, it's already kicked off. We're kind of running late here, but season 12 has kicked off, and we can't wait to follow along with this season and talk about each episode. So tune in for more as we break down a little bit about each of the couples from season 11 and talk about what went down, how it went down, where they wound up, and
how it ended up.
Yeah. Because ultimately, we really like the fact that this show creates opportunities for us to talk about marriage in general.
And relationships.
Relationships, yeah. Because, staying together is no small thing. As what is it that Pastor Cal always says? We tried to look it up.
Yeah, he said you don't fall in love like an unexpected rain puddle. You grow in marriage.
You grow. Yeah. But it has to be a decision. You have to choose to love one another, and you have to choose to do the work that it takes to stay together. And this show gives us an opportunity to look at all the little areas and all the little pitfalls that marriages can run into that can create a challenge, and to talk them through. So that's what we're going to be doing over the next season, just talking about what's going on with the new couples and how they can really address it.
So one last thing, then we'll let you go. We saw a lot of things that we had in common with different couples. It'll be interesting to hear what you feel you have in common with some of the couples. So just put those in the comments, and we look forward to going in depth in the individual couples with you on the next shows.
Absolutely. So tune in, subscribe so you find out when those videos hit, and we can't wait to see you later. Yeah. How about a kiss?
I had to stretch for it.
You had to work for it.
Yeah, I did, but that's what makes it good.
Lord help us. All right. See y'all later.